My name is Tamuka Mucha, professional boxer from Reading. 18 fights, 17 wins, 4 KOs. And, I'm the next British champion, world champion coming out of England.
Okay, so I'm Trevor, and I've known Tamuka for a number of years now. And I actually was kind of like his teacher in the early days, so I worked at the same school that Tamuka went to. Now I'm doing whatever I can to support him through his boxing career. And completely with what he said. I want to see him go on to become world champion. Let's get him there as quickly as possible. Okay, so we're living in strange times at the moment, so because we discussed that, we're on lockdown. So we were talking earlier about, how difficult it is right now to train and to keep yourself motivated. How are you coping with it?
I'm coping all right, but it's obviously quite tough being isolated from the gym, from my friends, from my coaches. It's like literally, it's even a little bit scary just going to the normal park and doing laps around because, you just don't know what the effects of this pandemic are really. So, It's been a bit of a difficult time, but I've managed to make the most of it with different resources and and spending quality family time, and also utilizing VR. So this has been coming on quite well.
Yeah, so this is a key thing that we were aiming to talk about today, and that is that we're both advocates of virtual reality. I've been involved in the field for quite a while, and I promoted it and introduced you to some of it as well. And I just feel like, especially with some of the untethered devices like the Oculus Quest that we're using, you can really start to psychologically put yourself into a boxing ring and start to train and feel that experience. How do you feel that's going for you?
Yeah, I feel like it's going quite well because I'm still experiencing the same emotions as I would in a professional boxing ring. Even though it's VR, whether I'm boxing a sparring partner or I'm fighting in the actual arena against an opponent, it's like the emotions for me are a bit similar because it's like that competitive aspect is in me. Like that competitive aspect of a fighter that wants to win, it's in me. So even though I'm in VR, it's like I still want to win. I still want to knock this guy out. So I'm putting in maximum effort to make sure that I'm attacking well. I'm putting in maximum effort to make sure that I'm defending well, but I'm also making sure that he's not hitting me too much. So it's like the realism of it. It's coming into effect, especially during these circumstances where people are confined to staying within their houses. So even though I'm confined to staying in my house physically, mentally I'm in a different world.
Yeah. Definitely, and you said something really important, and that's me as a pure amateur. But the reality, when you're in that sort of virtual reality format, and you feel these emotions rise up, like you think an adrenaline. I'm getting adrenaline here, but I'm in virtual reality, and then you're sort of like moving and avoiding punches, even though you're not physically feeling the pain of hitting you. Triggering those responses. For me, if somebody's coming as a novice, I still feel really immersed in it. Yeah. How does that feel to a true professional boxer? Do you feel that it's really helping you?
Yeah, well, especially under these circumstances, I feel like it's definitely helping me, because it's still developing that competitive aspect in me, those same emotions, those same feelings, that same anxious feeling I get before I get into a fight. Even though it's a game and even though I don't feel the actual pain, the physical pain of it, it's like, the psychological pain of getting beat by a game is driving me even harder to train harder, to go out there and box harder. And what I've also been enjoying is the aspect of sometimes it's like, because obviously I'm in we're all in isolation. It's like we can't do much. It's like I can actually go into VR and spar with someone, which will help me maintain my skill level. Even though it's VR, I still throw the same punches. I still throw the punches the same way as I would in a boxing ring. So it's still maintaining that physical sharpness, that physical ability to fight. And that's what it's about, man. That's what I like.
Yeah, definitely. We spoke earlier, it was about, for me, like, if I do 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I'm drenched in sweat. So I'm really getting to work and my heart's pumping. I'm really feeling I'm doing myself some good, because, like you mentioned, you can't go out and about so easily. You can't run around.
Yeah.
I'm in my own house. I'm still getting a real good level of base fitness. Do you feel find it's the same?
Yeah. In terms of like, because it's like shadow. Even though it's sparring, it's like shadow boxing a lot. And because I'm holding the controllers in my hand, and the opponent is in front of me virtually, I feel like I'm in a fight, and I find myself giving maximum effort, as if I want to win every round, every minute, every second, and that's what's really helping me, because it's actually helping me continue to train mentally, continue to train physically, and and I feel like it's definitely producing results, because I'm getting better at the game. But hey, maybe my arms, when I get back in the boxing ring, they'll be a little bit faster than they were. So yeah.
That'd be a really interesting measure. I mean, ultimately, as you've said already, when you're throwing the punches with the right technique and you're moving, your body's still expressing itself in the same way it would in a real fight situation. So you're rehearsing and you're putting yourself through it, and you're training in a similar format. So, I personally, I'm a big believer in it. I think it's really valuable. And I like to set myself little sort of objectives within the game. So just to make sure I'm always motivated. It's one of those few games I can play where I never get bored, because it can change each time. And actually, a very sort of funny thing I'll tell you about is when you change all the settings, because we share the same game, and Tamuka changed the settings to make it a lot more difficult, and I didn't realise he'd done it. So I went into the game, my normal mode, I was just like normal or hard level, and these guys were flying at me with punches in every direction, moving rapid. I was like, whoa, it's totally different level. And I had to adapt to Joe. That was great, because it really pushed my incentive to try and get better, really pushed me up. So again, I'd be interested to know, I've never had the opportunity, just like how has it changed me as somebody that's never really boxed in any capacity? Like, how do I actually develop something from this? I'd love to find that out, and maybe in the future, I can see if it's helped me. Because you said again, reaction speed. I mean, reaction speed is just reaction speed. How quickly can those, the firing of the neurosynaptic pathways, how quickly can they react to things? And obviously, this game is stimulating that, so something's going on there.
Yeah, the simulation to kind of emulate the level of difficulty I would get from another professional boxer, and that's what I found quite effective in changing the settings, because now the guy is a bit faster, and it's making it a bit more difficult for me, because now I have to react quick. I have to react not as if I'm in a game, as if I'm in an actual fight, because and now it feels a little bit more unpredictable as well, because the guy is fast and the guy is coming at you full steam ahead. It's not as predictable as it was when the settings are on less difficult, and that's literally what it's like being in a fight, because you're boxing another human being. It's like you can't even predict what they're going to do, what they're going to think, or how they're going to move. So I wanted to kind of develop that same feeling in the game, because I didn't want to be able to predict the punches they're going to throw, or how they're going to throw it, or where they're going to move to, because then that would just make it easier for me. And then I won't really need to put much effort in there. But by changing the settings, it makes it a little bit more realistic and unpredictable. And then now I feel like I'm fighting an actual human being. Even though it's just a simulation of the game, it's like it feels so realistic that it's like, they've done well, especially with Thrill of the Fight. Thrill of the Fight has got some good characters, some good names, and I think I'm forgetting what the name of the guy that was boxing at the time. I think it was Ugly Joe. And then I was as I'm boxing him and as I'm fighting him, my brother started recording him, because I started taunting him. I was talking to him. I was like, yeah, come on, Joe. What you want to do, Joe? Come at me, Joe. Come at me, Joe. And as a fighter, those are sort of the things that we will do to antagonize our opponent. And even though Joe couldn't hear me, because I'm in virtual reality mode, I'm in that simulation mode, I felt like, these tones will kind of get him to overcommit, so that I can counter punch him or get him to come at me. And it just felt so realistic that I started to forget that I was in a simulation. It's like I'm talking to Joe, who's just a simulation in a game, as if he's an actual person. You know what I mean? Like that's really how I would do if I was in a fight with someone like Josh Kelly. It's like I would do everything I can to taunt him, to make sure that he overcommits, that he wants to hurt me, that he wants to, work harder than you usually would against any other fighter. And like, I was trying to pull off the same moves with Joe. But unfortunately, even though it didn't work against Joe, it worked for me because it gave me that excitement. And that's what I wanted, that realistic excitement, And I enjoyed taunting Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not embarrassed. I mean, I do the same. Like, I watch all the greats. I said to you earlier, like, if I'm watching Tyson, Ali, Foreman, and I'm just looking at their styles, I'm trying to imitate. Say, I can take that to the game now. And I find myself sometimes talking, especially if they catch me in the game. And I'm like, no, you have a chat. It's just like, it seems a natural human thing to do because we've got this competitive drive within us. And even though it's a simulation, it still comes out. And I think it's really interesting, because the psychology of what's going on, because this is quite new, this technology. We should probably mention, actually, at this point, we are talking about the Oculus Quest, which is an untethered virtual reality headset. And in particular, we're talking about Thrill of the Fight, which is the software we've been using. There's also Box VR, there's various other boxing simulations, more gamified ones like Creed is another one. But yeah, I mean, for both of us, we feel very much drawn to Thrill of the Fight just because it arouses that real sort of lifelike, I'm in the ring experience. And, we're getting a lot from it. Like you mentioned a few of the characters and boxers, the ones that I struggle with when all the settings are ramped up in particular. I think Duke is one. He seems a very durable boxer. And, I find that I sweat the most. I get the most exertion because I find I have to really work hard to the body, usually to sort of wear him down. So, it's fun. I mentioned they're real people because it's funny, these characters and the attributes that have been set, they've obviously given me some sort of personification. I see them as characters and real people because as I fight them more regularly when I use the headset, I've developed this understanding about them. So this is the exciting thing for me. This is quite new technology. We're seeing how it's really panning out, especially for yourself as a pro athlete and pro boxer. And the merits really are there. And ironically, because nobody wants to be in this situation now with the pandemic, but it's kind of making people turn to things like technology as a way of exploring what it has to offer. And especially it can physically exert you as well. So I mean, I'm really, I'm enjoying it. And I'd like to see in the future as well, we'll see how this goes because, again, for our conversations with Ian, whether we can actually see, we can work the mechanics of this into something quite special.
That would be
pro boxers,
especially for me, I would think, obviously, as you're playing the game, you kind of get a realistic feel as the ref looks at you. I think the other day I scored a knockdown, and then he wanted me to get in a corner, and I could see him kind of looking at me like, get in your corner, and then it's like before he does the count, and it's like, it's a realistic feel. So to make it even better, it would be to play another opponent, maybe individuals or maybe other pro boxers can put on their virtual reality kit and we can fight each other in virtual reality form, and I feel like once we can develop it to that level, that is going to bring a different level of excitement, a different level of experience, especially for boxing fans. Because I know they were a part of them. You can tell as you're around boxing fans, it's like even some of them will ask you, so like you hear boxers being asked the craziest requests. Fans will ask you to punch them and all of that just to kind of get an idea of how hard you hit. But you'll be like, look, I can't beat you up in real life, but you get on Thrill of the Fight and you get the virtual reality Oculus, and we can mix it up in there. So this will create opportunities like that, and that's what we all want.
It really intrigues me because it takes out some of the risk, or takes out all the risk, really, and the dangers of. Especially for those boxers that are old, retired boxers, but the greats, So you've got the likes of, in this country, I know Nigel Benn was looking to make a comeback, but that didn't happen. But there was question marks over whether he should, because obviously as an older man, there's more risk. But if you could adopt this type of technology, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, some of the old veterans, the greats, the ones that really established themselves, and also you've got the likes in the US of Mike Tyson. I mean, that would be phenomenal. Like Mike Tyson putting the headset on and fighting against another great. And then, like you said as well, you could have those people They may no longer be active in the ring, but they can still fight in a virtual reality against live opponents, real opponents like yourself and up and coming boxers.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And not only just about getting a good audience, but for your own level of satisfaction. Because what I've noticed with retired boxers is they miss it. They miss the experience, and like they miss the anxious feeling that they get from being in a competitive boxing fight. And I feel like with virtual reality, they'll be able to get that back. They'll be able to get that missing aspect in their life, that missing experience aspect of what they once enjoyed, but they'll be able to get it in a format where they're not getting hurt. Because it's that like fighters like Bernard Hopkins, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, I think even Mike Tyson, they boxed later than they should have. And like, I think, and mainly it was because most of them, they missed the experience, the boxing experience. They still wanted to relive that boxing experience. And I feel like with virtual reality, they're going to be able to now do that without suffering the consequences that come with getting hit in the head, like brain damage, Parkinson's, all of them type of things. So they won't suffer the consequences, but they'll still experience that the enjoyment aspect.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'll pick up a little bit on that as well, just in terms of some exciting technology, which is also coming out around virtual reality, and that is this haptic feedback. So you get these suits that you can put on, and gloves and other headgear. And of course, it's not like being punched. It doesn't inflict that type of trauma. It couldn't, and for good reason. But it still gives you some physical feedback. So like you've received a body shot, you've received a shot maybe to the chin or wherever it might be, or to the temple. And I think, again, from a training purpose, that's very valuable because you've got a physical feedback response. So you're more inclined to avoid it next time. And I know that you're not going to be able to inflict, and of course you won't want to, any real damage, but I think it really helps people to understand what their vulnerable parts are, where they may not have covered up properly, if they are not, reacting quickly enough, or if they're being a bit too cocky. This will give them a little bit of feedback, and it should, from a training and coaching perspective, it should help them adjust to a better style and a more a better way of boxing rather than taking too much risk.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing. I mean, I'll try and get you to experience that at some point.
Yeah, that would be amazing, man. That would be amazing. Yeah. I want to find out how some of these virtual reality guys punch. So like, but I think that also be quite interesting for the fans, because let's say if you're fighting Mike Tyson, now or Anthony Joshua, you're now getting to experience what the opponents of Anthony Joshua and Mike Tyson feel, because with the haptic feedback, it's almost a realistic feeling from getting punched. So that would be nice. That would be nice.
I was privileged, and you were there as well, to meet Frank Bruno in was it last year now or just before? And he keeps himself in phenomenal shape. He's really keeps himself trim. And somebody like for himself, or one of the older generation, or some of the great boxers, just to get them to try this out, because I'd be so fascinated, interested to see how he responds to it. I mean, it'd be really good. And I know because he trains so much, he's always he keeps himself, very healthy. He could add this to his training regime, and I think he's really enjoyed it.
He could, man. He could. And now he'll be able to, like I said, relive the glory days. Relive the glory boxing days and experience that same feeling without putting himself in harm's way, without putting himself in any type of danger. So
what I'd like to do is I'll add some footage to this video, so anyone who views it gets a bit of an idea of what we're talking about.
Keep it clean at all times, protect yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Good luck to both of you.
One of the really good things that you did before, obviously, we were on lockdown, was you actually put the headset on in the ring. So you had the ring to work yourself around, and obviously you've got the right space to move into. But how did you find that when you was in the ring with it?
I found that amazing, man. And like I said, that realistic aspect of virtual reality, that was amazing, because I got that in the ring. Like you could see the moves that I was putting together moves that I would as I'm fighting an opponent. You know, it's like I felt that same experience as I would do in a fight, because I started putting together the moves as if I was fighting a real opponent. Even though it was virtual reality, I was moving, I was jabbing, I was slipping, I was going in and off the ropes, I was utilizing the space within the ring to move around and make sure that you know, I don't trap myself on the ropes or in the corners. And that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about. Even though it's a game, it's like utilize it to your best advantage, and then that way you can experience the best entertainment factor from it. And you know, even though for me it was entertaining, it was also like a training simulation, and that's what I liked, and that's what I really enjoyed about it, because I was getting entertained. Because yeah, I'm in a game and I'm not feeling the physical pain of fighting opponents, but I'm experiencing that same level of excitement as if I'm hitting someone.
Yeah, that's it. And I think the dimensions of the ring are quite important, because, you know, to bring this up a notch again, to make it even more valuable, to have an awareness of the dimensions you're working in are quite important, because when you do find, you know, you want to occupy, you know, ring dominance, centre of the ring, or if you're moving your opponent around, you want to have that spatial awareness, which is relevant to the actual ring itself. And I sometimes I'm using it in my kitchen or any space like that. So I've got to be careful. I don't punch the fridge, I don't take out the cupboards. What do you do? But to have like a dedicated space, I think that would be really good.
Okay. Yeah. Having good space is always good too. Once you got some good dedicated space, and you know where you can move around to, that's quite good, you know. But like I was fortunate enough to be able to have so much the same ring space that they have in the game. You know, I had that in real life, and that made my experience a lot more entertaining, because I could move everywhere. Where sometimes when you're in the confinements of your house or your room or your bedroom, you can only move so much. You can't even experience the whole ring. But because I was in the actual boxing ring, I managed to utilize all the space that I needed to do. I managed to move, throw jabs, go in and out, go to the body, head.
Yeah, but I'll try and get some of that footage, and we'll put some of that in so people can see what we're talking about. But for me, watching that as well, it was like incredible, because I was seeing the true movement. I was seeing, like, you know, how you would react to these things. It was fascinating. Fascinating to see. I was going to we've been very lucky in that we've had contact with Fitz, who's the developer of the game. And I know that one of the things he's asking is very interesting is, you know, what would we recommend that he tries to work into the next edition of this game? What would you sort of say, you know, would be the things to try and improve on what he's done already?
You know, like obviously the ability to multiplay against other boxers or other fans or other people, that would be a great introduction to the game, because now you won't just be playing against the characters within the game, you'll also be playing against characters from all different places around the world, you know. And I think if they can incorporate that, that would be great incorporation. And also maybe something where they can include people being fans or watching as spectators, you know, being because not everyone always wants to go in the ring and actually fight. Maybe watching as a spectator will allow people to, I don't know, to get a different experience from it, to get a different entertainment factor from it, or to maybe even pick up new and different skills. You know, because like, if you watch as a spectator and you're watching people pull off different moves, different skills, you might go home and then you'll be trying them, and like that might help you improve as a fighter. So I think that would be a good thing to do. Maybe also one more thing would be the ability for spectators or fans to be able to score the fight. You know, I don't know how they would be able to do that, but hey, if they can get fans or spectators to be the ones that are scoring the fight and like you know, you utilize them, that'll be good too.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I mean, there's real potential for a fan base to be developed, you know, within sort of like the virtual reality experience. Because I mean, even in real life, many of the boxers that I really enjoyed watching, they weren't necessarily the ones which, you know, the ones who guided as the top boxers. Like everyone, I like personality, I like charisma. You're drawn to certain things in people, and you know, I think that could be very similar to how it works in virtual world. You know, people will develop a fan base based on certain things that they've got about them, their character. That'd be quite interesting. I was just going to say the other valuable thing about this, and we haven't really touched it in any great depth, is mental health. Because we are in this situation right now, this is a way, and again, especially for a multiplayer game, you can still connect with the outside world. You still feel like you're joined up to people. You can have a little bit of social experience. Mental health, of course, is massive in boxing. I know Frank Bruno, massive advocate.
I've seen how it's affected other boxers, like I say, Gypsy King, Frank Bruno, and I've got personal friends of mine that it's affected as well. And and the ability to create communities within virtual reality might be something that can help that. Interacting with different people through virtual reality games, virtual reality opportunities will kind of maybe make people feel less lonely. You know what I mean? Make people feel like, even though you might be on your own in your house, you're able to actually interact and connect with people on such a personal level that they start to feel like they're in the same room with you. Yeah. And I think that ability from virtual reality is it's a great thing. And if that can be utilized more, or that can be improved upon, I say let me make it happen, because people need it.
I think that it's definitely a resource that can be used for that purpose. I think boxing fascinates me for so many reasons, but one of the great dichotomies really of what it's all about, the nature of boxing, is you've got two people who are apparently hate each other, they want to destroy each other, they want to beat the other person. But then I also see some of the sort of the greatest speakers, like Tyson Fury, who just referenced, such an advocate for mental health, and doing a lot now actually online in terms of workout regimes and trying to keep people connected and joined up and happy. Obviously Frank Bruno with reference as well. Mike Tyson, he's doing phenomenal stuff in hot boxing, and he's putting really great, honest messages out about what is this life we're all living. And a lot of this comes through boxers, and I do wonder really, and you might be able to help with this as well, is does it go part and parcel with philosophy? When you're testing yourself to a limit where your life is basically on the line, does it open something up about a human being, which is like you become more honest and more open to what the philosophy is of living a good life?
Yeah, it does in a way, because what I've noticed that with boxing, it's like it's one of them things that you want people to be able to understand and sympathize with, because it can affect you mentally, because sometimes boxers go through dry spells where they're not getting fight. For me myself, it's like I've had people avoid me, people cancel fights for me, people refuse to fight me, and because of that, it's like it put a financial strain on my life, and I started to actually experience anxiety, experience a bit of depression, a bit of sadness, worrying, if these guys don't fight me, how am I going to eat my next meal? But good thing I've had good people around me, supporting me, helping me, including you, man, and that's kind of just helped me stay afloat. So I'm very thankful for that, I'm very thankful for that. But, we have to always keep in mind that, it's like, it's like survival, man. Literally, that's what boxing is, especially for us professionals. It's our livelihood. It's survival, and most boxers, they don't develop any other skills because their main focus and target, even for me myself, it's like my main focus and target has been always to be so successful in the boxing ring that I actually ended up quitting uni, because I found that being in university and boxing, it was kind of overlapping each other, because I came to a point where I had to pick one or the other. And in my mind, because I have such a love and deep passion for boxing, I ended up having to go for boxing. So, it's like that aspect, man, that realistic aspect that, it's survival. It's like survival of the fittest almost, because it's like the ones that are able to win, the ones that are able to advance on and continue and become champions, they're the ones that are going to be able to make a good living out of boxing. And you know, and sometimes that can put mental pressure on you because you want to be successful now, because now it's no longer just a hobby. It's now your life on the line. And when your life is on the line, you know, you put in a human being and you actually start to feel as if your back's against the wall, you know, and like when your back's against the wall, you will do anything to make sure that.
I think that's it. I think that's what, you know, as you're saying, you see certain light bulbs are going off. And I think like with boxers, because literally in certain situations, you put your life on the line, and you find that when people do that, sometimes the best of people comes out, but also a lot of realizations come in as well, you know, about just normal things like, you know, your mortality is finite. You start to sort of consider things that perhaps if you're just going through life without any, you know, in a more mundane fashion without a job, which is so risky, you know, maybe you don't address those thoughts as quickly in life. And also like a lot of boxers, I know everyone's different, but a lot of boxers do come from quite humble beginnings. They come from quite, you know, they go into boxing, like you said, not because they've got ambitions necessarily to academically become like a mastermind or go to a real high-paid career, but they know that boxing has the potential to give themselves else through physical attributes and hard work. And, you know, and I think, again, it probably moulds a certain person that comes out of it. And I think, you know, as you get older, it comes to people at different stages in life. But, you know, when you put yourself in those high-risk moments all the time, and you mentioned about survival, I think you're sort of seeing a braveness to address that and to sort of look inside and say, what is this all about? What am I? And, you know, maybe you just feel you get more confident to talk about it. I mean, we have lots of deep conversations, and I've always said to you, you matured quickly. I don't know if that's a consequence of boxing, but you just matured. I remember you as a kid when you were like 13, 14. And I met you again.
All the time, you know, getting in trouble with different teachers and all of that. And it's like, you know what, it's like, in a way, and I did a documentary for the BBC, and I was telling them, I was like, yo, you know what, boxing saved my life. But it didn't save my life from where it took me out of poverty, and it took me away from drugs, from gangs, or anything like that. It saved my life because it gave me a purpose. It gave me a passion. It gave me something that made me like, because I remember when I stepped in the gym, I must have been like 103 kgs. And then I had these guys looking at me like, nah, there's no hope for this guy. And it's like, because I was so passionate about being a boxer and I wanted it so much, I started working day in, day out, and I lost the weight. You know, I went from 103 kgs to about 73 kgs. That's 30 kgs. And as a 16-year-old, I wasn't even 16, I was 14. As a 14-year-old, that's a difficult, 14, 15-year-old, that's a difficult thing to do, because it's like those are our golden ages of just doing whatever we want, whenever we want. It's like literally having fun. And like I had no one to push me. I pushed myself because I found that passion in boxing. And that's why I say it saved my life, because I look at where I am at now, you know, I've got girls chasing me left, right, and center. I need like a woman's stick to keep them off me. You know, it's like before I wasn't even confident to talk to girls. It's like literally I was scared. I remember even like as a young kid, like because I was so fat, I started having anxiety, getting worried, like, yo, is any girl ever gonna even want to be with me if I stay like this? And like when I found that passion in boxing and I lost the weight and I built my confidence, I didn't even have friends before before boxing, you know. And then I lost the weight and then I started making friends and then I started knowing different people. It's like that's how it saved my life, because it gave me a purpose, it gave me a life, it gave me something to look forward to in the morning. You know, I used to enjoy people like you, like one of them weirdest things, people would see me at 6:30 in the morning coming back from a run. That's because I would wake up at 5 a.m. to go jogging, because I was so passionate about it. And then I would go to school, you know, and like that's what I'm saying. It's like not many things can bring that out of you. There's not many jobs where you're gonna be you know, willingly waking up at 5 a.m. to go to work. No, not many people are going to be doing that. And at 15, 16, no kids are going to be doing that. But it's like once I found boxing, I was willing, man. I was willing to wake up at 5 in the morning, go to the park, run 5 miles, come back home, take a bath, take a shower, get on the bus, get to school. And within that, it slowly changed my life and it gave me that purpose. And now I'm here, you know, and professional boxer, boxed on top of the world, Sky Sports, met Anthony Joshua. I went to LA, did documentaries with the BBC, and it's like, the list is endless, man. And like, I'm very, very thankful to the sport for that, and very thankful to the fans. And, that's what everyone needs. That's what everyone needs. They need to find that one thing that's just going to give them that extra ability to come out of bed or to come out of their comfort zone and do the things that they normally wouldn't. Because for me as a fat kid, I wasn't really looking forward to waking up at 5 a.m. and going running. I was looking forward to staying in my bed and playing PlayStation while eating all types of the wrong foods. But once I found that passion, I knew those things had to go. And that's what I'm saying. It got me out of my comfort zone and into an uncomfortable zone. And because of that, I've been able to become fruitful.
Yeah, that's such good. There's so many messages in what you just said. It's so powerful. Of course, I'm a big believer, in life. I think everyone has to have some sort of purpose, or just find a purpose, because I think it does get you up in the morning. It does give you motivation. And then, the other big thing you said is pushing yourself. It seems like it's very natural for human beings to. Sometimes we want to just live in our equilibrium and not have anything to interest us. And, that can do us for a little while. But honestly, I think that the best that comes out of it is when we find we've got to work hard. We've got to try and generate something.
Yeah, it's like when you find out that, like you said, like you were saying earlier, when your back's against the wall and when when it's do or die, it's like it brings out the best out of you. And for me, it allowed me to lose 30 kgs at 15 years old.
Changed your life. But the thing is, though, that love, you obviously found boxing, you fell in love with it. And it had all of the additional benefits. Of course, physically, it changed you. Emotionally, it changed you. You said it gave you more confidence as well. And it doesn't necessarily need to be boxing. I mean, if there's one thing, like a message I put out to some people, is, you don't need to imitate and copy others. Sometimes if we say quite different. But once you find it, and you find your own thing. Let it bring your true nature out. Because that's the thing. Sometimes, I suppose the worst thing in life is you go through life, you don't really know who you are, because you've never really allowed to express yourself properly. So that's a big deal. Cool. Well, this conversation has been brilliant because it's gone off from technology to philosophy, and I think people will be really interested because we can learn a lot more about it as a person. So for those who aren't familiar with Tamuka Mucha, get a bit of insight into the man. So it's valuable.
Nice. No, definitely enjoyed the conversation, and I've been enjoying virtual reality a lot. It's with different type of games, Creed, Thrill of the Fight, and let's keep it going, man.
Yeah, definitely. So what we'll do is we'll probably wrap it up in a few minutes, but I think it'd be great if in a few months or so we come back to this conversation. We'll talk about how things are progressing, because we've got this. I've got this strong belief, that we can accommodate and introduce virtual reality, obviously in many formats. One format here is as a boxer, and I'll be really interested to see how in the future you feel it's worked for you.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Virtual reality. I feel like technology is growing everywhere, and imagine being able to get to a point where virtual reality, where you can get people from around the world to put a virtual reality headset and fight box live. That would be amazing. The fact that we're already getting involved at the beginning is a great thing, and it would be very interesting to see how far they can go with it, because people are always doing magnificent things with technology.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Tamuka.